Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Reels, where we will be delving into Green Jade Games' RAR KO, and I'm pleased to be joined by Green Jade's Chief Commercial Officer, Mark Taffler. Welcome, Mark. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good afternoon, James, and it's wonderful to be had.
Perfect. It is always wonderful to be had. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, RAR KO. Before we do that, can you just tell us a bit about your position within Green Jade Games, Green Jade themselves, and a few titles that Green Jade offer?
Yes, with pleasure.
Cool.
Green Jade Games. We're a studio based out of Malta. We've been alive properly for about 18 months. Currently, we have about 25 titles on the market. And our real key point of difference is that we advocate and really try to drive arcade skill games and allowing players to have an involvement in the game rather than it just being sort of a passive spin of the slot. My role as Chief Commercial Officer is to make sure, firstly, that we are signing up as many wonderful casino partners as possible, and then making sure that we're supplying them with the content that they require. Always trying to meet the expectations of the customer, and then checking on making sure that the revenues are doing what they should do as well. So it's an all-encompassing role, and yeah, it's a super exciting time.
Yeah, you just mentioned about your skill games there. Just before we jump into the title, can you just expand on the type of skill games and arcade games that you've got on offer?
Yes, absolutely. What the company was founded on was the hyper casual social gaming market. If we look at, for example, microtransactions as an industry, that's currently worth about $100 billion a year. And you'll know, and everyone will know that, skins and trading sites like that, they've, for a long time now been offering players and people a really interesting way to gamble. And so we formed the business based on these premises that we could actually deliver something more exciting. And so we currently have a range of arcade games, such as our most recent, which is Coin Flip 2. That's come back out, which is just as it says, it's a coin flip, but it's fun. We've got a crash game, Western Rush, whereby you go up against the dealer and see how long you can leave your money in before the crash comes. We've got Casino Blocks and Candy Prize. They're probably our biggest so far. Both of those are based on very familiar UIs and gameplays. But the player has the ability to either match 3 or move the shape on the board in order to create a line which then disappears. And KO slots are also, in essence, a bit of arcade skill with the KO feature itself. They share, along with the arcade games, the skill balance pot. The skill balance pot is a piece of technology that we've registered, licensed, and IP'd it. And basically, it means that when the RNG decision that the game should pay is there, and for whatever reason the player doesn't take that money, then money goes back into the skill balance pot, creating a more volatile experience for the player. It doesn't at any time affect the RTP. It doesn't affect the base game. It doesn't affect the bonus round. It just merely means that that's when money should have been won, but it wasn't taken for whatever reason. So we believe that it's more fair for the player because it gives them an opportunity to win what was rightfully theirs. And it just makes it more exciting.
And talking of exciting, your RAR KO is what the title we're talking about today. Can you just walk us through a bit of the backstory of this title?
With pleasure.
The story about the title and kind of how it came about, because that's a point that no one really talks about.
I know, right? The games come out and it's like, yeah, this has got 6x4 and it's this RTP, but no one ever talks about the actual, the process of getting to the game. So this is really exciting for us. This is the first AKO, so it's automated KO in this game. So as I'm looking at you now, on the right-hand side, you'll see the KO flashes.
Yep.
And when the game is ready to pay out a KO, then you'll have loot boxes. So the loot boxes come along on the real set. And then if you match a minimum of 3, then your KOs will automatically knock out those loot chests, and you win. Either up to 2,000x your stake of that round.
Mm-hmm.
This comes from originally the KO series, and the KO series was something that we believe was a new iteration of slots. I mean, they have been extremely popular to date, with Rednex KO, with Alien KO, Troll KO. But what we've noticed, and this is really important, we look into gameplay and we look into performance. And we looked through the metadata and we saw that players weren't quite able to maximize their experience on the game. And our research showed that was maybe because they weren't claiming the win when they should have done. So what we did then instead was make the automated KO, so that no player will ever lose out. There'll never be a poor experience. And it still creates that feeling of being involved in the game and having an influence over the game in a slight way. Graphically and thematically, obviously Egypt is a pretty standard fare for our industry.
Yeah, it's well documented.
Yeah, very well documented. But I think what we always try and do, and I think from looking at this game, what we have done is brought a real brightness and a real freshness to it. I think I see a lot of it's trend based and fashion based, but some of the games nowadays are washed out, and they've got kind of a dull feel to them. Some go for more of a theme of urban and graffiti. We're seeing a lot of that, and it's all done very well, don't get me wrong. But for us, more importantly, we wanted to put our KO series into a popular thematic. So we're not trying to reinvent anything. We're just using a well-liked format of graphic, and we're putting our mechanic into something that people already recognize.
Yeah, see, I think that was a question I was going to ask. Like you said, the Egyptian theme is highly popular and it's highly saturated in the market. It is all over the place. I think I actually learned about ancient Egypt by just playing slots.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like, we just released Book of Babylon, so we've gone through a bit of an Egypt book renaissance over our last 2 releases, and this was done intentionally. For Book of Babylon, we actually did a Mesopotamian theme rather than Egyptian, which is paying more respect to the very original game, because that was Mesopotamian. But with regards to the themes, the way we look at it is, if these themes, if a game is about theme, and we know this is a popular theme, then we want to benchmark ourselves against the rest of the industry and see how our own spin on games with the knockouts fares in what is a popular theme. Look at that.
Let's see how big this goes, actually, before I ask the question. 34. So I was going to ask that.
What are you staking?
What my staking is €2.
Okay. So 15x, 16x.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say now? So yeah, like I said, the Egyptian theme is quite popular. How difficult is it for a company, not just yourselves, but any other game developer, to create something so unique in a field where there's just so many options?
It's a good question, and I think that from and this is why we've seen the inception of like Megaways, Infinity Reels, Gigablocks.
I think we're looking at KO series kicking in for loot boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, hang on.
Let's see what we're gonna get.
So you've got the picker bonus, and you've got 3 treasures, so you've got 3 wins here.
Not bad.
Nice.
Yeah, good one, that.
Nice.
Perfect.
So you get, what's that, 36 euros in 3 spins? That's not bad, eh?
Oh, that's good.
But no, I think when, everything's about trend and fashion, and if you look at retail and fashion retail, we as consumers only buy the clothes that are put in those retail outlets. We don't really have a decision or a choice to make over, no, I want a pair of trousers with one green leg and one blue leg, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
So for me, online casino is no different than mass retail, in that the product is the slot, and the retail distribution channel is online. And therefore what we've got to do is whilst we have to respect what is popular in the market, because people aren't going to buy things that are completely outlandish, this is where we bring in our arcade games. This is where we try and differentiate our core proposition, arcade games, rather than just slots. I mean, we make slots because we're not we're risky and we do things differently, but we're not arrogant enough to think that the world doesn't need slots, because they do right now. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is help the industry to acquire a newer player segment that doesn't currently play slots because they wouldn't want to.
Yeah. So I always think you've got this massive, overwhelming popularity with the mega ways mechanics and so forth, and that's kind of what is seen as the pinnacle of slots at the moment. In terms of like the KO series and your skill-based games going into the future, can you see these new type of slots becoming far more popular and far more played than your traditional slots, in a sense?
I mean, yes, in short terms, and why though? So yes, Megaways is its peak. It's an extremely good mechanic, that works, and it was different when it came out. But we have to drive change in order for people to want to adopt these brand new types of games, the arcade games. Right now, so there needs to be a few things that happen. So there needs to be more arcade skill content out there in the marketplace to create the demand. Mm-hmm. Once the demand is there, then we can start to get the placement in the casino lobbies. Once we get the placement in the casino lobbies, we then, the consumer, like the analogy with regards to the trousers we can't buy from a retail outlet, they can't play the games because they're not there for them to play. But we understand that because it's early. And then if you look at where the future of the industry is going in America, New Jersey is already the third biggest market in Europe, and it's just scary. And, American consumers prefer these types of games, the skill games. We know that, we've done our research. So there's always going to be markets like Italy whom have a very, very distinctive like and dislike of what they can play online. In Germany, historically, the games were a certain way. But there is a real beautiful opportunity in the US and with, new countries up regulating for players of all different demographics to get involved and enjoy themselves. We want to build entertainment into this, and safe entertainment, so that the industry has a future, basically.
Yeah. But I think one of my not concerns, I'll probably say a concern is, do you think actually developers and operators are a bit scared to branch out from their comfort zone in fact embracing these new arcade skill type games, or do you think they're actually quite open-armed about it? It's just more of a reassurance that they'll be a success.
The ones that we've spoken to, or I personally have spoken to, have made perfect sense. Their sentiment is, yes, we agree with you. They are going to be the future. But right now, they're not. And I haven't got a business case to make to my business to give you P1 on a game which we don't know how it's going to perform, when I can put, a net end slot or a red tiger slot in P1, and we know exactly what it will give us, because the business has to make money, and I get that. So, we're actually working around ways to take that risk away from the casino, so that they don't have to give us a P1. Come up with a whole different solution, so that we can then, in tandem with the high performing slots, serve their players casino content, arcade content, without a risk. A casino manager, a head of casino, a director of gaming has to do forecasts, has to have a real feeling as to what they can generate. And with something that's as yet mass market in our industry, it's mass market in the hyper casual social gaming space, of course. There was today a small company in London just got a very large investment. They make mobile games, with microtransactions. That's where the future is. And it will be first mover advantage, as it is with all these things. When live casino first came out, it started off as 1% of GGR, then 5%. Now it's up to 25, 30% in some markets and some casinos. But that just shows how well Evo did to push that concept.
And you've moved into the future. This can be the final question. Moving forward, what can we expect from Green Jade Games? And like I said, not just its KO series, but its skill-based games and its traditional slots that it still creates as well in the near future.
It's really exciting, and I know everyone that would come on to something like this and say that, otherwise there'd be no point in coming on, right? But no, it's boring, we're not doing anything.
So cliche.
Yeah, exactly. No, so we've genuinely got some exciting things coming up. We will always make a slot or two because we're slots fans, right? That's where we started out as individuals. Skill game wise, we've got a first-person shooter game coming out at the end of the year, which is going to be amazing. It's a space-themed first-person shooter.
Can we get a name for that? Or?
You can't, only because it doesn't have one yet.
Oh.
And I was only informed of that this morning. I thought it was called Galaxy Rogues or Galaxy Wing, but that's no longer its name. So, but yeah, that's just going to be amazing. We've also got a Brick Breaker game coming out as well.
Cool. Oh, I love big fan of that.
Yeah, same, right? It's such a familiar, well-known format. It's just so fun.
It's such an old school game which just stands the test of time. Always has done.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. But I think, what we're going to be working towards in the next 9 to 12 months is more how we present the games to the players. We have to help players to find the content. It's not the casino's job because they've got money to make. It's our job to support the casino in the best way possible in order that the players find our content, really enjoy it, and then we drive that paradigm shift.
Perfect. Well, that's everything from me on RAKO and Green Jade. Mark, thank you for coming on. It's been really fun, actually, to be honest. It's been really enjoyable. I could have actually done this for a full hour, but time restraints.
Yeah, shall we? We can
Yeah, let's do an
just keep
extended
talking.
version. Extended version.
Yeah.